I can't believe it. I actually agree with the score on IMDb. Hey guys, welcome to Happywax TV. So I know I always say IMBD. I don't know why, because that's not what it is. It's IMDb, but for some reason, IMBD just sounds better to say. So anyways, I know you guys correct me all the time that I say it wrong, but it is what it is. So anyways, tonight we are talking about a movie that just came out called Animal Among Us. I saw the trailer for this a while ago. I thought it looked great. Not sure why I didn't do a trailer review on it, although I have been, and I've said this before, I have kind of cut back on the trailer reviews. I'm trying to go with, there's so many fucking movies coming out, good movies, and I'm trying to cut back how many trailers I watch, just because I find anyways, movies are just way better the less you know about them going in. You know what I mean? It's just, so I've kind of switched more to like movie reviews, you know what I mean? But it's just, whatever, I like cutting back on the trailers. So I don't know, I just find it heightens the kind of movie. But because if you know too much and you watch some trailers, I mean, you can almost figure a movie out by the trailer, you know what I mean? Because I get it, especially with lower budgeted movies, you know, they really have to juice up the trailers to get people to watch them, right? Because everybody nowadays, not everybody, but you know, everybody wants to go to the theater and watch these big budget pieces of shit, you know what I mean? And a lot of them are pieces of shit. So I'm telling you, video on demand, low budget movies is really the way to go. That's where all the new original ideas are, which is what I'm getting with this movie, because this is a pretty original idea. You know, if you read some reviews on it and stuff and some write-ups, they're kind of pushing it as a Bigfoot movie. And I don't want to give spoilers for this flick, because again, this is a movie where the less you know, the better this movie experience is going to be for you. So I'm going to say as little as possible as I can about this movie. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. It's not a great film, you know what I mean? You're not going to be talking about this movie, you know, the years down the road as a classic. But I mean, you know, it's definitely worth some discussion, because they do try and pull off a pretty cool ending. But we'll get to that in a few minutes. So it's directed by John Woodruff. I'm not overly familiar with him, but I did some research on him. He does have some short films out, but I think this is his first go at a feature-length film, and I think he did a pretty good job. I'll read the, well, I mean, it's got a cast in it, but I mean, we're not really going to know. There are a lot of actors and actresses that I've never seen before. But let me just read the synopsis really quick. 15 years ago, two teenage girls were murdered at the Merrymaker campgrounds. The case was filed as an animal attack. The camp was condemned and the killer never found, but something horrific still waits in the woods. Okay, so that's basically the synopsis, and that's what we learn in the first act. So what it is, let me just get the names right here. So Christian Oliver, who plays Roland Baumgartner, is a author. He's got a book out that he made up kind of, I guess, kind of like a fictitious story about this campground, the Merrymaker campground. But I think it kind of hurt the campground, what caused it to close. But they've since, the family has gotten together and since have tried to reopen this again. And it's run by Anita Bishop, who's played by Larissa Olnick. I think that's how you say her name. Anyways, her and her sister are kind of reopening this. Now, again, I can't say too much about this movie because there are a lot of twists and turns in this. And they do a lot of kind of misdirection to kind of fool you. And it does heighten the end of this movie. So having said that, I probably said too much. But so I'm going to be really vague with this. But basically, Roland Baumgartner, the author of that book that revolved around this campground, gets invited to do like an opening ceremony at this campground. Okay, he's got a kind of a sketchy little past. You know what I mean? When they work on that in the first act. Basically, the first act is just meeting everybody. You meet the two sisters. You meet Roland Baumgartner's wife, and she's pregnant, and she really doesn't want him to go to this grand opening, but he kind of sneaks out anyways, leaves her a note, blah, blah, blah. And then the second act takes place when they show up at, at the campground. And then there's also, they kind of push the Bigfoot monster movie aspect of this film. Okay, that's the one problem I have with this movie, but I'll get to that in a sec. And then there's also a kind of like, I don't know, how do you describe him? He's part of like a Bigfoot club, you know what I mean, where they investigate the sightings and stuff like that. So, I mean, all these people kind of converge on this campground all at once. And then that's kind of where the second act kind of takes over, is where, you see glimpses of this creature, and you see some video footage that the one girl has, and just some strange kind of goings on. And then they call in the fella played by Don Fry, who is called Burl Wolf is his name. He's a big kind of a burly kind of looks like a tracker, you know what I mean, one of those professional trackers. So they call him in just to kind of deal with what is going on there. Again, I don't want to say too much. So, and that's when the second act really picks up. And then it's just the goings on. And then the third act is kind of like when all the twists and turns kind of get revealed and stuff like that. So, again, vague, sketchy review on my part. I know. But again, I'm doing you a favor, okay? Because this movie is best watched with as little as, what as possible. Now, if you have seen the trailer, you do know that this is a creature feature, okay? I will say this, a lot of people, and again, give this movie a chance, okay? Because when I was watching this, and when I got into the third act, and you kind of see what's going on and what's really happening, some people may not like the payoff. I don't know. I'll be honest, like I always am. I didn't care for it in the beginning, okay? But then when I got thinking about it, and this is one of the reasons too why I don't normally do a review right after I watch the movie, because it's always good to kind of sit back and think about it. You know what I mean? Because you take in visually what you see, you know what I mean? And then you instantly want to make a decision on it, you know what I mean? But sometimes that's not always the best idea. And I found that if I sit on a movie for a night, and then that way I can think about it, through the evening, and then the next day until I plunk my fat ass down in front of this chair and talk to you guys. Sometimes I've changed my mind 2, 3, 4 times on a movie, you know what I mean, and take different perspectives on it. And I have with this movie. When I first saw the reveal, I was kind of just like, I was like, fuck, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, is that it? You know what I mean? Like, is this what's going on here? You know what I mean? But then when I sat and thought about it last night, I thought, no, that makes total sense. And it actually it's a pretty cool ending if you think about it. And it's an original ending, you know what I mean? Like, other movies have done it, but obviously in different ways. But I don't know, I enjoyed this movie. The rating it got on IMDb, I think, is a 5.6. I would bump it up maybe just a little bit more. I would give it probably like a 6, maybe a 6.5. It does lack a budget. But it's all practical, which is really cool. And that's the one thing I love about these creature features. And I've said this before. I mean, you give me a CGI creature, or you give me a guy in a fucking rubber suit or whatever he's wearing, and I will take the rubber suit man fucking 99% of the time. You know what I mean? And that's what this movie, it's old school. It's filmed old school, and it looks old school, and I fucking loved it. This movie, and I've said this about a few movies, if this movie came out in like the 80s, okay, when we had like other movies released, like the Friday the 13th era and all that, whatever other movies that came out, this movie would, like people would be talking about this film. But because it's coming out in 2019 and, there's the campground theme and all that stuff, and it's kind of been done before, not a lot of people will probably talk about this from years down the road. But I honestly did like this movie. I thought it was well acted. It was shot really well. The night scenes, a lot of night scenes really hurt low budget movies, but they really lit it well and knew how to shoot at night. And I mean, the acting was great. And I mean, that really brings a good story forth in a low budget movie. And I mean, the acting here was really cool. There's a couple scenes where it might have been a little overacted on some people's parts, and you'll know who I'm talking about when you watch the movie. But for the most part, I thought it was really well done. The direction was really cool. The editing, the pace was good too. That's another big thing too, is the pacing. Again, you know what I mean? Like there could always be a little snipping here and there, but that's just nitpicking on my part. But I don't know. I enjoyed this movie for the most part, so I would probably give it like a good 6.5. Yeah, probably a 6, a good strong 6. In the practical, again, it's a practical movie. I don't think there's any CGI in this flick, and it really did help. So, I mean, it had some funny parts, it had some serious parts. It's not really a scary movie. There are a few scenes, you know what I mean, that will make you jump if you're not ready for them. But you know, and that was the one thing I liked about this movie too, is they kind of kept the jump scares on the down low, which is really good, because a lot of times with these creature features, that's how they sell the scare, is jump scares, and it didn't really happen a lot in this movie, and I appreciate that, because I fucking hate jump scares. I know we need them in horror movies, but some movies just go bananas with them. Kate and Poise, or Point and Case, you know I'm going to say The Fucking Nun. Okay, that's my go-to pile of shit jump scare movie, is The Fucking Nun. But anyways, I really, you know, I did enjoy this movie, and I highly recommend it. Like I said, it just came out. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It's called Animal Among Us. If you have seen it, let me know what you think about it. What did you think of the ending? I'm curious to get your guys' point of view on this, about the reveal and then the actual, you know, the very end and how they ended it. I thought it was pretty original. I thought it was pretty cool. And it certainly does, you know, the ending certainly does say what the title tells us, Animal Among Us. So, I don't know, give it a watch. I recommend it. If you've seen it, let me know what you think. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it. You can watch it. I think you can get it on YouTube. I rented it on YouTube. I think it was $4.99. So, I mean, $5. I mean, give me a fucking break, man. These guys worked hard on this movie. Give them their $5. Give it a watch. And then come back and let me know what you think about it. I think it's on other platforms too, like Amazon and Google Play and all those other ones. But anyways, if you've seen it, let me know. If you haven't, go rent it, come back and let me know what you guys think about this one. And yeah, guys, until next time, stay scared.